What is up, everyone? Hopefully, you can hear me and see me. A little bit of technical difficulties going on right now, but hopefully, everyone is having a good Tuesday evening. Yeah, so let me know in the chat if you can hear me and see me. I see Benads is here. I see Nixie is here. I see Sizemion is here. So what is up, everyone? Thank you for joining. It looks like I'm live on YouTube, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Set mic 2. Yes, new mic, Nixie. Yeah, I upgraded a little bit. I gave myself a little tax refund. Treat yourself. So I think I've upgraded to the Shure mic, and yeah, I think it sounds pretty good from what I at the third attempt of recording my transfer targets video. It finally worked today. So yesterday morning, I flew back from the States on Sunday, and I was a little jet lagged, but on Monday I was like, I'm going to record my transfer targets episode. So then I recorded it the first time and I forgot to plug in my mic. And then I was like, okay, you know what? Still got time before work. And then I was like, all right, I'll record it a second time. And I forgot to hit the record button. So I was having a little bit of a mental breakdown. And so I gave up on that. And I recorded it again this morning. Microphone was on, recording everything. So all was good. So that episode will be out on Thursday. Hopefully you guys like it. But yes, it's back. At this point, these Q&A streams are like starting to become like part of my regular weekly routine, and when I don't have them, like it feels like there's something missing. So thank you to everyone for joining in the chat. Let's see who have we got. We got Nixie, we got Benaz, we got Sezamon, we've got Chris, we've got Hagar, we got Darko, we got Joe. Nixie says, in line with the Imola upgrades. Yes, not just the F1 teams that are bringing the upgrades to Imola. Never says, sup, how are you? I'm good. Chris says, sounding good. 3 times lucky, yes, finally got there. AB Mo says, hi, we are ready. All in for Colapinto. Congrats on the 3,000 subs. Yes, last week we went over 3,000 subs on the YouTube channel. So yeah, thank you to each and every one of you for subscribing. If you're not subscribed, if you're watching this live stream right now and you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Would be greatly appreciated. Let me get the little promo thingy going on here. And yeah, it's good to be back. And yes, it is Franco Colapinto season. So if you have any F1 fantasy questions, if you're new to the channel, I will be live for the next 57 minutes to answer all of your F1 fantasy questions. So hit me with them. Otherwise, I'm just going to babble on about my own team and how disastrously it's doing right now. F1 Vesti says, hi, you, and how are you? I'm good, sir. How are you? Fantasies Vochto says, hi, hello over there too. Darko saying, congrats on the Liverpool title from a United fan. Thank you. Back on our perch. 20 titles matching y'all. So yeah, it's been kind of weird to like the last 2 weeks have just been a celebration. I was watching some Liverpool players today on TikTok. They are just getting absolutely hammered in Dubai right now. So I wouldn't expect a big win over Brighton on Monday, but I'm glad all the players are enjoying it. Nixie coming in with the first question of the evening. I love it. Thank you, Nixie, as always. Albon versus Stroll is the big decision for me this week, and I think a lot of people are in the same boat. I'm leaning Albon at the moment. I simply cannot see Stroll getting 9 points for a 0.6 increase. Bing, 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 Nixie. You have nailed it on the head here. So let's go over to our handy dandy trusted friends over at F1 Fantasy Tools, always doing as much as they do for the F1 Fantasy community. So they are fantastic. And if you guys have not used it yet, you can get 50% off your first month on F1 Fantasy Tools with promo code UN50 for this triple header that's coming up. And so what's the date today? The 13th? So that will actually get you all the way through to the first day of the Canadian Grand Prix. So if you wait until Friday to use that promo code, you'll get the next 4 races, which is pretty handy during this tumultuous time in F1 fantasy. But yes, Albon versus Stroll. So let's look at it here. Albon needs 6 points for a good price increase and 18 points for a great price increase, whereas Stroll needs 1 point for a good increase and 9 points for a great price increase. And if you're asking me, like Albon has the higher thresholds, but 10 points in Saudi Arabia, 19 points in Miami. Albon feels like a better bet. Stroll is a better bet for 0.2, just because like getting 1 point should be manageable even for an Aston Martin driver. But if you're looking at the 0.6 increase, I think you got to go with Albon, right? Like 8 points is what? A couple of overtakes, a couple of positions gained, maybe like a P9 in quali will get him 2 points. That's like, it is tough. It's tough to see Albon getting to 18, but I think it's tougher to see Stroll getting to 9. The other problem is that Albon is 3.1 million more. So you're kind of taking yourself out of it a little bit. I was going over this in my transfer targets episode earlier today, which will come out on Thursday. But I just don't really see a world. Like I do have Lance Stroll on the transfer targets, and he actually has back-to-back finishes in the points at Imola. So it hasn't been a terrible track for him. But if we're looking at this T1 squad here, I have 3 free transfers. And like 18.2 million is Colapinto and Albon. That feels okay, right? Like that feels a lot better than Colapinto plus Stroll, right? So I think for your question, Nixie, I would lean Albon just because I think he has a better ceiling. There's a higher, like, because he needs 6 points and Imola is a tough overtaking track. Like say if he has like a bit of a disaster class on Saturday qualifying, you could be at a risk of not getting to the 0.2, but I think the upside is there with Albon. And because it's kind of like, I think a lot of us are maybe going like bottom of the barrel with Bortoleto, Colapinto, like Hadjar's here too. Yeah, I think I'm leaning Albon, not for safety, but for ceiling. Let's see here. Let's see. What else have we got? May the upgrades also extend to our fantasy team. Alonso and Behrman really hurt me in Miami. Yes. Yes. Behrman is on his way out of the F1 fantasy pole position squad. Pretty easy decision there. If we go back over here to the budget builder, 23 points for a good price increase, 31 points for a great price increase. That is not happening. Raj says, best B tier constructor and B tier driver for rising 2 in a row. Congratulations for 3K. Thank you, Raj. You know, I haven't actually. Let me see here. If you guys will excuse me a second, let's go over to Pat's F1 Insights, because I don't think they were updated earlier in the week, but I just want to double check where we're at here with the rest of the squads. Where'd they go? It might be because I don't have this zoomed out enough, but where are we at? So, okay, maybe Pat hasn't updated them yet, but still doing fantastic work for the F1 fantasy community. But for Raj, for rising 2 in a row, B tier constructor, I mean, you could be looking 2 in a row. It's probably going to be Williams, just because they consistently string these weekends together, like 27 points in Saudi Arabia, 31 points in Miami, and having the 31 points for Miami for the next 2 races built into their budget is pretty handy. Aston Martin could come into play here as well. 13 points is not bad. This -6 off of Alpine is going to fall off as well. So they'll have 10 points, and then whatever they score this weekend. They're not going to rise this weekend, though. So that is a problem. Kick Sauber. Like, they're also in the transfer targets episode, not to ruin the entire episode 2 days before it comes out. But yeah, like they could be an option here this week, with -2 points for a great price increase and -6 points for a good price increase. So I think I would say kicker Williams. I think Williams just for the balance of point scoring and budget, but that's where I would go right now. Bernards is asking Nixie, and you're feeling Albon could get 0. I'm indeed in the same boat, but for me, Albon needs maybe too much for even 0.2. Albon and Tsunoda combination long-term thoughts. Bernards comes in. Albon is the better bet for me. Stroll performed well. Let's see here. So Tsunoda, it's a great question because once this -17 down here, let me go. Where did that chat go? Once Tsunoda gets this -17 popped off of his 3-race rolling average after Italy here, that 33 points is going to be fantastic. It's going to be a really big boost. So if he can avoid a DNF this weekend, Tsunoda could be the next of the budget risers. And getting Albon in right now, it gets you closer where maybe you don't have to break up your team as much. Like maybe you're going down from like, I'm trying to think here. So Behrman and Lawson out to get that kind of, like, if you wanted to go Albon here, and then if you're also going down to Williams, just say that was thing, you'd have 9.5 million, and then that would give you enough room the following week to kind of do like an Albon to Tsunoda, and then Williams down as well. But yeah, that's kind of tough to do the Albon Tsunoda combo, like back-to-back transfers. You might just be better off rolling with Albon, or, I mean, you could even bring Tsunoda in with this third free transfer over here, 15.2 million, leaves me 7.1. That's not enough to get. Yeah, that's 1.5 million short of getting up to Mercedes, although I don't hate that build either. Although Tsunoda is going to fall this week, but -17 coming into Monaco could be really nice for the Japanese driver. So it's not a terrible idea. It just might be a little bit tricky to pull off there. There are 60 people watching and there are about 12 likes. So I always shoot to get 50% of the viewers hitting that like button. So if you can do me a favor and hit that like button, I would greatly appreciate it. F1 Bestie says, what do you think about my third team? Where'd you go? F1 Bestie? That I plan to play Limitless in Monaco. Piastri, Russell, Stroll, Hülkenberg, Colapinto, McLaren, Sauber, and I still have 1.1 left in the bank. Yeah, in general, all of those should rise because Monaco, Stroll will keep that 25 in there. Hülkenberg might be a little bit tricky depending on what he does this weekend. Like if he rises 0.2, it'll be a little bit harder, but he has the 3 falling off. So I don't mind that either. Colapinto's good. Piastri's good. Russell's okay. I think Russell's only going to go up 0.1 this weekend, though, F1 Vesti. Just 34 points feels like a lot for him outside of getting like a driver of the day or fastest lap bonus. So maybe think about that as well. But overall, not a bad idea either. Hadjar to Hülkenberg. I don't know. I feel equal confidence on Hadjar getting 7 versus Hülkenberg getting 5, in that I don't have a lot of confidence in that happening. But it feels like a little bit of a luxury transfer, Sismion. So if you have the ability to do that luxury transfer, then go for it. But it might be just more handy, depending on it, like if you've used Limitless or not, to have that extra transfer for Monaco. For sure. Chris says, this is my first year and I've realized how even a 0.2 increase can be crucial to your budget. I'm def going Colapinto, Stroll, Albon. Show me the money. I love it, Chris. Reckless Medic says, I can either pick up Mercedes, Stroll, and Colapinto for a -10 or take Mercedes, Albon, Colapinto, and Bortoleto for a -20. I can also pop my wildcard to save that -20, but like having it for the future. I think as you get further and further into the season, Reckless Medic, popping a wild card for -20 becomes more and more like strong. So like you're saving yourself 20 points, that kind of thing. The problem is you're not really making, like, you're kind of almost like backing yourself into a corner with the bottom of the barrel guys, which a lot of us are going to do. And then you're going to have to use like Mercedes or Piastri or McLaren maybe as like a money make weight to get out of that bottom of the barrel area. So that's kind of tough there. Uh, Mercedes, Stroll, and Colapinto for a -10. If that's the only way you can get to it, I guess so. Ugh. The problem is, I don't think it's going to be a very high scoring week in the points department. So taking those hits is not ideal. Because, like, if you're giving me Bortoleto versus Colapinto with a 10-point head start, I would be tempted to just stick with Bortoleto just because, like, in a vacuum, like, taking away the budget building thing. But -10 points to kind of switch around some back markers is always risky business in F1 Fantasy. Hagar says we would discuss B tier constructor also. Yeah, I think we're kind of going over it there, Hagar. Thanks as always for joining the stream. Been a pretty constant presence in the live streams this year, so I greatly appreciate that. Kick, Williams, Haas is maybe outside of it this week, although still two pretty strong drivers, so 9 points is fine, but I think I'd go Kick and Williams would be my top two this week. Adil says, oh, G-Wiz says, hit the like, please, fam. Yeah, greatly appreciate that, G-Wiz. Adil says, I would love to do Mercedes plus Albon, but don't think I have the budget, 106.7 million. I'm thinking I move down to Williams to afford Albon and get 0.8 between the two instead of Mercedes plus Bortoleto at only 0.3. I like that thinking, Adil. I think that is a great kind of long-term plan. So don't mind that at all. Formula B10 says, hello, do you think it's worth budget building even in these really dry weekends? I have 106 million right now. And how would you build it? I have all chips still, sadly. Yeah, me too, Formula B. I'm right there with you. Okay, do you think it's worth even in the really... Yes, I still think it's worth it to budget build. We are still at a very budget building worthy point of the season in F1 Fantasy. Like, it doesn't feel great to get a little bit left behind. Like the whole no negative thing that happened to Miami, like could have been a pretty big way to jump up the rankings, but I'm trying to view it as like, well, now I have my no negative. If we go here, what's kind of interesting is that going over to the elite data, you can see that 75.2 75.2%, or maybe you guys can't see that, but 75.2% of the global top 500 played their limitless chip in Miami. 6.4% played it their no negative chip, and then 17.7% of the Patreon top 500 on F1 Fantasy Tools played their no negative chip, and 49.9% of people played their limitless chip. So even though you're a little bit down in the dumps, you're kind of lagging behind in some points categories. Like, there's a lot of ground to be made up. Like, already 68% of the teams in the Patreon top 500 have played their limitless chip. And at this point last season, I had already played my limitless chip as well. And I wish I could get this chip out of my head because I am a little bit on the struggle bus right now. And there's part of me that going into Imola, this is probably the least amount that I've been trying to set up for limitless, just because I've been a little on tilt, like after the Gasly decision in Saudi Arabia, and then what happened in Miami was pretty disastrous. I don't expect a lot of teams to be able to play limitless this weekend without taking some budget hits. So you have to think about that as well. But yeah, I still think Formula B 10, I still think it's worthy to do some budget building, especially at like 106 million. Like, I feel like I'm kind of falling behind at 108.5. So at 106, that would be my goal as well. Rob is in the chat saying that microphone sound is so crisp. I appreciate that. Nixie says, Kick is such a differential. I can't with a constructor getting a singles digit score. I know. It's so scary, but it's like, is this just like 0.6 staring us in the face? But the thing about that is when you're like, oh, I need that 0.6, like anyone got some of those 0.6s, like Williams is also there. Just, they have to score 0 points to get a 0.6 increase. So isn't that the better option, even if they are 11.4 million more? Then kick. Ugh, God, it's tough. I said it earlier today. Or yesterday, I did my team selection thoughts on X, where you can follow me at F1 Fantasy Ewan, which is right above my head right now. That I think the main decision is probably going to come down to like Norris and Kick Sauber versus Russell and Williams. So Norris plus Kick Sauber is probably going to get me 0.9, whereas Williams plus Russell is going to get me 0.7. And like Chris just said, 0.2 is a pretty big increase. So, I don't know. Nixie's asking what everyone's budget is so far, so let him know. Christoph says, top 3K with 113.5 million budget, and I can wildcard to this team. Piastri, Albon, Stroll, Hadjar, Colapinto, McLaren, Mercedes. Christoph, that's all I'm going to do there. Chef's kiss. Like, that's beautiful. Very jealous of that. Very jealous of that. Gasly on the cards in Monaco as well. Yeah, he'll get that negative 17 knocked off of his score right here. Great point by Nixie. Helly says, what about Haas for budget rising 2 in a row? Let's see here. 12 and 8. Ugh. I mean, once that 12 drops off, if they don't replace that with another 12 this weekend, that will be kind of tough going into Monaco. And the problem is that Haas has a tendency to kind of qualify low. Like if we go to the statistics here on F1 Fantasy Tools, if I can go to quali position here by average, look at this. This is insane. Ocon and Behrman are all the way down here. Let me just remove your chat here real quick, Helly. Ocon and Behrman are in the bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're in the bottom 6 for qualifying this season. At Imola, which is 23rd out of 24 tracks on the calendar this year for average overtakes per race, that feels pretty bad. I mean, look at this with Behrman. Didn't qualify in Australia. 17th, 20th. So that's tough. 1 Q3 appearance for Behrman, 1 Q3 appearance for Ocon, but 19, 18, 19 in there doesn't feel great. You know what I mean? Comparing that to like Williams, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Q3 appearances compared to 1, 2 for Haas at a difficult overtaking track. I'm not sure how many points those Haas boys are going to score this weekend. I mean, it's still like F1 Fantasy Gold to have low qualifying guys or drivers, and then they kind of make it up, because then if you go over here to the race average, like, oh, they shoot up here. Ocon, Behrman, and the top half, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So they're in the top 11 for race position. And usually that's fantasy gold, but at a track like Imola with so few overtakes, it's really tough to kind of trust low qualifiers that week. That's why I'm kind of like Bortoleto, Colapinto, do whatever, bottom of the barrel. They're not going to worry too much about it. But yeah, hopefully that helps. Christoph says, hit the like button, chat. Thank you, Christoph. Yes, hit that like button, chat. We are at 85 viewers, 28 likes. We're going to get that over 40 while there's some of us in here. Helly says, what about Haas? Oh, sorry, Helly. I just realized that. But yes, thank you for your super chat. Very much appreciated. Hopefully I answered that effectively. But I think I would go with, I'd go with Williams. AB Mose, I'm a maybe wildcard. McLaren plus Kick, Norris, Piastri, Stroll, Colapinto, Bortoleto, 109.4 million, 200.1 expected points at all, and go for Limitless in Monaco. Yes, I like that a lot. Colapinto, Bortoleto, Kick Sauber, they all can't go down, so that's great. McLaren, Piastri, Norris, all likely to go up. Do you have any thoughts, AB Mose? If you hit your wild card, is that what you're going to wild card into? Or do you have any autopilot things? Like, I don't know. Hector says, sorry, I'm late. Maybe it's already been discussed, but I can't afford Stroll plus Albon duo. Should I sacrifice my second Mercedes team for Williams in order to get Stroll plus Albon? Is it an instance for that? I don't think so. Well, I kind of like getting Williams in over Mercedes because you get a bit more of that budget. If we go here, I just want to look at just comparing. So like Williams is 21 points a race, Mercedes is 58.2. Like that's a big old points difference there, Hector. But in the budget building department, if that's what you're focused on, it's pretty nice. I think Williams is a solid option this week. Like there's nothing wrong with Mercedes. It's almost like they're consistently boring, and there's part of me that's like I kind of want to switch it up. And because if we go over to budget building here with Williams, like these kind of the 27 and the 31, like those are propping them up so well to get like just 0 points this week that if they get double digit points, maybe 15 points, let's say they get 15 points, like I still kind of would bet on them to get another price increase in Monaco, either at 0.2 or 0.6. But if you're setting yourself up for limitless, I don't mind that as at all. Albon, the Stroll thing is throwing me for a loop, to be honest, because the 25 points will be good for the next 2 weeks, but it could just be 0.2 increases, which I don't love all that much. It just feels like we're waiting for the other shoe to drop with Lance Stroll, and it hasn't dropped yet. That's the only thing. And it's going to be one of these weekends that we all buy in, and it all goes disastrously wrong. Like, Aston Martin still is a really bad car for 2025. They are pretty much throwing in the towel, and Andy Cowell said that there's no point of bringing upgrades to the Aston Martin car when right now they don't even understand what is wrong with the car right now. And they're like, we have to figure out what's wrong because then we'll know what to improve. So that just seems terrible. And I know it's 1 point for a 0.2 price increase, and that seems pretty nice, but I don't know. There's just part of me that can't get over Lance Stroll. It might just be the years of hurt. Like even when it was like the meta to just have triple Aston Martin, triple Red Bull for those of us that have been playing 2 or 3 seasons at this point, like it was like once every 4 or 5 weekends that Lance Stroll would get a DNF, and it's like, well, it doesn't really matter because he's owned by 60% of the game, but now he's owned by like 1.4% of the global top 500. And if we go there this weekend, like that sucks. Like if it's a little scarring. I think I just have some Lance Stroll scars. Max Alive says, hit the like button thrice. Yes, I appreciate that. Christoph says, we'll be able to change my Albon Stroll to Tsunoda Gasly next race as well. Oh, I like that, Christoph, then. Yeah. As long as everything goes according to plan, I love that plan. But it is F1 Fantasy, so things don't always go according to plan. Just a heads up. I'm sure you've been playing the game and noticed it enough that, yeah, sometimes the best laid plans can all go to poop with a ill-timed DNF. Still counts as 1. Monaco is where driver preferred or preference. Major thoughts to Tsunoda and Albon have better cars over Mercedes. I don't know. That would be a kind of 2 weeks from now Friday practice question, Hagar, but it is good thinking. Slow speed corners, that kind of thing should favor, I mean, Ferrari is usually quite good around Monaco as well, but we'll see how they are doing with this here. Heli comes in here with another super chat. Thank you, Heli. Appreciate that. Oh, let me get that question up here. Is it a good idea to use the final fix chip just to get an additional transfer and avoid a -10 penalty? What will happen to the roster after the race? So the final fix chip can actually only be played after the first point scoring session of a weekend. So after qualifying on a regular weekend, you can play it for the Grand Prix. And then on a sprint weekend, you can play it after the sprint race. You'll get that driver in, you'll keep the driver that you initially had, you'll keep their points, and then you'll get the driver you bring in, you'll get their points for the remainder of the weekend. But you'll get the budget growth of the original driver, and then you will get that driver reverts back to your squad at the end of the weekend, if I remember correctly, which I'm pretty sure I did. I'm pretty sure that's right. But if Rob is still in the chat, if any of the other content creators are in here, feel free to correct me there. And now, I am trying to figure out how to. There we go. But thank you, Helly, again for the super chat, and hopefully that answers your question there. Really appreciate the support to the channel. Aniket says, if you have 3 transfers and use 2, do you get 3 free transfers for the following week? Yes, you are rolling the transfer. Unless you're using Limitless, then it will just cancel it out, because Limitless is like you're using all the transfers. Wildcard as well. It's like you're already using so many transfers, so you'll just have 2 coming out of the next Grand Prix. For 2 races, who would you pick, Bortoleto or Hulkenberg? Probably Bortoleto, just bottom of the barrel. Williams got 0 kick sauber, -2 difference. Yeah, I think I still prefer Williams right now if it's in a vacuum, but yeah. Formula Bean says, thank you. I think I will pray for Williams and bring in both Albon and Williams. I like it. I like it. Or this team looks good for a differential 2 without wildcard. Piastri, Russell, Ocon, Hadjar, McLaren, Williams with Colapinto. I like that too. But I think with wildcard, at this point in the season, I actually think Rob has it, Formula Fantasy Hub. He is maybe saving that for Spain, so I kind of like the differential of having the wild card, but getting to, like, wild card might be useful for Spain because that's when the new technical directive comes in for the flexi wing, and that could, in theory, could totally shake up the grid. Is it going to? I don't know. McLaren seems to be okay about it. Red Bull seems to be pinning their entire hopes of the 2025 season on this technical directive. So it might be nice to have the wild card for that, just to see how things shake out. Nixie says, I feel pretty happy with my start this season so far. Wild card overall, or 4K overall, limitless and wild card use, 111.2 budget. Yeah, that's great. Nixie, you are crushing it. So great job by you. Joe says, I'd go with Williams losing too many points with kick. Yeah, it just feels bad. Joseph says, I'm currently ranked 51 in global. Current lineup is... Sorry, I lost the question here. Where are you? Piastri, Doohan, Bortoleto, Behrman, Hadjar, McLaren, plus Murray. I'm planning to use my wildcard chip. Do you think it's time to pull the trigger? Man. So what could you do there? You could do Doohan, or you'd have to do Doohan to Colapinto. And then Behrman, I guess it'd have to be to Hulkenberg. Unless you have 3 free transfers, then that's a way where you could maybe go Mercedes to Williams and Behrman up to Albon, maybe save yourself there from using the wild card. But you are in a little bit of bother there, Joseph, with Doohan and, well, yeah, Doohan, you're going to get the inactive driver penalty, so you have to bring him out for Colapinto. But Behrman as well is not ideal. I don't know. I guess I'd have to... So budget is 106.1 million. Dang. You've just been scoring points for fun here, Joseph. Yeah, you might need to get on some budget building there, because, I mean, rank 51 is fantastic. I'm just not entirely sure how long you're going to be able to stay up there with not a fantastic budget. Budget at 110.1 after Australia, I was at 98.2. So was I, Joe. You've just been kind of crushing it a little bit better than me in recent races. Is Colapinto in the game? Hi from Spain. Keep up the good work. Yes, Franco Colapinto. He is right here. Come on down. Look at this. I couldn't find this. I was trying to find so many pictures of Colapinto in an Alpine tracksuit for the last couple of days, and I couldn't find anything. I just have that little picture where he's like smirking like this, like, and yeah, so they finally came out with one. Hopefully they'll get it on the grid so I can update some of my driver charts for the YouTube channel. But yes, Colapinto is here, 4.5 million. I am very excited about him. Jaime says, sorry, I just saw. He said, no, you're good, Jaime, no worries. What about McLaren plus kick plus Piastri ×2 plus Norris ×3? So I was actually going over that. I've seen a couple of people ask me and other content creators, like, is it okay to use the 3x, 2x chip? or the DRS extra DRS chip this weekend if you can do like the Lando and Oscar thing. And while I don't really mind it in theory, it still feels more powerful to use that on a sprint race weekend because like you're just gonna score more points. And like some of the people in the F1 Fantasy Tools Discord were fantastic. They were like, well, it's still like about the delta no matter what. So the delta will more than likely be bigger in a sprint weekend with the 3x 2x chip than it will be on a normal weekend. Now that could change where like I don't know. The problem is that like everyone is kind of on Oscar, so I'm not entirely sure how big the delta can be on a regular weekend like that. So I think I'd probably hold off. I will admit that I was kind of thinking about it earlier this week when I was looking at one of the builds in my squad because I can actually get to that build. Let me refresh this here real quick. So if we go, I can get Lawson, Behrman, and Mercedes out, and I can bring in Lando with Sauber, and then that leaves me enough money for. I mean, let's me bring in Colapinto with 3.3 million left there. And it could be like kind of, but I was kind of maybe thinking like more autopilot. I don't know, but kind of need to look into it a little bit more. It's still kind of early in the week too. So it's Tuesday. You got to hear what like the teams are saying, what upgrades are coming. I think I saw something on X today saying that Ferrari's not bringing the upgrade to Imola anymore. It's just waiting till Monaco. It's maybe doing some testing or something like that. But that is something we need to look into. Hold on here. Okay. Let's see. What else? About 24 minutes to go here, folks. Wish I followed this sooner. My first season doing fantasy, and I'm at 104 million budget. I feel like I'm going to lose by the end of the season. Don't worry about it, Uncle Papa Lee. Just keep following, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, and we will get your season back on track. As you can see, I'm at like 154K right now. Like I'm still trying to get my season back on track. So the more voices that are on my YouTube channel talking to me and kind of chit-chatting about F1 Fantasy, the better F1 Fantasy manager that I am becoming each and every day, which because of the fantastic community we got on X, you got on YouTube, like yeah, there's plenty of ways to get better. So don't worry about it too much. Fraser says, good day. How are you, sir? Hope you have been enjoying the break. Budget building isn't going to be good. Why not consider Limitless if we know the second best constructor? Yeah. I just think there's going to be so many people that have so many falling assets. Like I've got Behrman and Hadjar and Lawson this week. I'm really trying to play Limitless when I don't have any falling assets. So I need to set myself up better for that, Joe. Yeah, I think because like Behrman and Lawson, they're going to fall 0.6, and that's a big hit on Limitless. I don't think I can get there. But if you had somehow like mitigated it from Miami, that might just be like very team specific, but I don't mind the thought at all. Craig says, Hector, I've done that. Rolling the dice. Also took a -10 for Colapinto instead of Bortoleto. Agree with you and Stroll regarding Stroll, but he can also surprise in a good way. Just have to be ready to cut him. Yes, we really will have to do that. Urasoto says, hello, I used my 3X in the first race because I didn't know it was once per season. Used LL in Miami and currently in the low 1300s global. Crushing it, Urasoto. Super happy. Ewan hit the nail on the head for final fix. Whew. Thank goodness. Thank you for backing me up there, Rob. Appreciate it. Every time I say something like that, I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is it. And then I start to question myself because I'm like not reading verbatim off the rules. But yes, thank you to Rob for backing me up there. Current budget, 13.7 million. Tempted by McLaren, Kick, Norris, Piastri, Albon, Colapinto, Bortoleto. Fraser, I would listen to Fraser, y'all, because he is one of the first people that popped their Limitless this weekend at a non-conventional track in Japan, and it went quite swimmingly for them. So great job by Fraser. Jaime says, thinking about Behrman and Ocon out and Colapinto and Albon in, what do you think about it? I like it. I like that a lot, Jaime. Can't afford Mercedes and Albon. Would you rather go Albon, Stroll, and Williams with a -10 or stay with Mercedes and choose Colapinto and Stroll? Oh, God, that is tough. So Stroll plus Colapinto plus Mercedes, that's probably looking at, on the good side, probably 1.1 million. If you got Colapinto going up 0.6, Stroll going up 0.2, and Mercedes going up 0.3, that's 1.1 million. If you go Albon, Stroll, and Williams, then that's 0.6 with Williams, 0.2 with Stroll, and 0.2 with Albon. So that's a million plus. So you're gaining less budget with the Albon, Stroll, Williams side, and you're losing 10 points and going head to head with Mercedes versus Williams. So I think I would not go with the -10 there, Eurosoto. Sorry, I keep losing my spot here. All right, Lionel, sorry. Thinking about Piastri, Hadjar, Bortoleto, Colapinto, Sonoda, Williams, and McLaren. I like the idea about Sonoda, but you might just be a week early there, Lionel, because Sonoda is likely going to drop this week, but 33 points in Miami when he gets this -17 right here. Let me just remove your chat real quick. Once he removes this -17 from his score, that 33 points is going to boost him up a boatload in Miami. So he'll be 14.6 heading into Monaco with a 33 point and whatever he scores this weekend, kind of head start on budget building. I love it. Like I would love to get Sonoda in for Monaco. That's really, really nice and great budget building asset, probably for Monaco and Spain, to be honest, as long as he avoids a DNF. Knock on wood. Hagar says, can we explain Belgium sprint long way limitless? Oh, man, that is a very long way away, Hagar. So you're kind of stretching my abilities at foresight here. So we got Imola, Monaco, Spain, Canada, Austria, Silverstone, and Spa. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7 races away. If you feel more comfortable playing the limitless chip in a sprint race, like if that's just what your cup of tea is, if that's how you want to play as an F1 fantasy manager, Delta Schmelta, I want to score points, bingo bango, then wait for Spa. And then start scoring points, start gaining, like you can focus on scoring points, scoring budget, and that will be your main goal going forward. I'm not sure if that's the optimal way long term, but then I think you could probably play the game a little bit more week to week. As far as I'm concerned, I just want to get this limitless chip over with. I want to find the best spot to play it. I want to get it. I want to just have a week where I don't have to worry, or like literally go into a week where I don't have a falling asset. And then I can be like, I can play limitless this week, because right now I'm on a run of Gasly heading into Miami. So I couldn't, or Gasly and Doohan going into Miami. So I couldn't play limitless there. Now I'm on Lawson and Behrman. So I can't play limitless in Imola. And I would just love a weekend with no DNFs, some budget rising, and it looks like those assets are also going to rise in Monaco or Spain or something. I would just love a weekend like that, and just to help me out and get this limitless chip over and done with. Rob says, saving my wild card for either the TD in Spain or right after the limitless, should I want to pivot into Sainz and Gasly and not 2 4.5 million drivers, solely budget preservation assets right now? Exactly. And Rob brings up a great point. What makes Colapinto and Bortoleto so tempting right now is, while, as we look on the screen, look at all of these B tier assets. Like, even Colapinto getting 6 points this weekend feels like a stretch. His first weekend in the Alpine car, low overtake track. Like, I know he's had 9 races, but he was a little Jekyll Hyde. He kind of lasted, like in the first 5 races, he was averaging like 8.6 points per race, 1.5 points per million. And then in the final 4 races, he picked up 3 DNFs. So we're really, I know it's exciting to get a new driver on the grid, and he is bottom of the barrel, so it's really like only upside with Colapinto. But what also makes him attractive is he can't go any more down, just like Bortoleto. Like Bortoleto, now that he has a -11 from Miami, like he is just purely like a point scoring asset. We just need him to like not DNF for a couple of races, and then hopefully we can get rid of him. But Colapinto could go up but he can't go down. And that's also the same thing with Kick Sauber. Like, okay, like we're giving up a ton of points, but they have a very easy route to going up 0.6 million. The only thing that does concern me about Kick Sauber is putting them in kind of breaks up your squad, and then you have to bring them back out because you're not going to want to play them at 5.1 million in Monaco. Like, they're probably going to qualify at the back. Like, it's not going to go well. You're not going to overtake anything at Monaco. So that's a little bit of a problem here. But great points by Rob. Lionel says, Piastri, Hadjar, Bortolotto, Stroll, Colapinto, Mercedes, McLaren. Yeah, I like that team a little bit there more. Urasoto says, in my team 3, I can't reach Mercedes since I have Russell. Which B tier constructor would you choose if plan is limitless in Monaco, Kick/Aston for a budget, or which other one if not? Yeah, I mean, these 27 points are going to fall off of Williams next week. If you want a limitless in Monaco, I don't like any of those options. Man, maybe I would just go down from Russell to like Albon and keep Mercedes, to be honest, Urasoto. Is it too spicy if I wildcard to Norris, Albon, Ocon, Hadjar, Colapinto, McLaren, Williams? That is incredibly spicy, especially because like Ocon, I'd expect a 0.2 price fall. So I really want to like wild card into someone that's like losing value, Benads, but that's just me. Radio Pack says 101 or 111.2 Albon or Tsunoda. This week Albon, and then probably next week Tsunoda. Benad says, after limitless in Miami, I'm just under 51K with my T1. We'll see how long I stay there. You're going to stay there the rest of the season, Benad. That's how much confidence I have in you. Radio Paddock F1 says, great budget, Fraser. Yeah, I agree. Uncle Papa, I need some help. 104 million budget with Norris. Oh, where'd you go? Norris, Sainz, Behrman, Hadjar, Bortolotto, McLaren, V-Carb. What should I do? V-Carb in the building, huh? Haven't even looked at them. I would get rid of Sainz, Behrman, and V-Carb if possible. And that could be a route where you go Kick, Colapinto, and then upgrade all the way to... You could go Williams, I guess. Or Behrman down to Colapinto, V-Carb up to Williams, and Sainz to Stroll? Maybe that's where you want to go there. Delta is very big in sprint weekends, very high. How many races would it take to make 15 million using the Mercedes lineup starting at Imola? To make 15 million using the Mercedes lineup, like the regular one or like the kind of template-y one? That's a good question. Dang. I'm trying to think. So if everything went according to plan and you had one A-tier asset or 3 A-tier assets along with 4 B-tier assets that like continuously rose, or say you got 1.8 million out of those B-tier assets every week plus 0.9, so that'd be 2.7 a race out of like a kind of template team there, Sammy. So that would be maybe like 6 races. So right now we're heading into week 7, so maybe that would be by Belgium. Maybe by Belgium. Oh god, that was some really loosey-goosey maths. I know that's what this channel is becoming famous for, but ooh, yeah, that was maybe some really loosey-goosey math off the top of the dome there. Hopefully that made sense, Sammy. But thanks for the question. That was pretty interesting to think about. Which team do you like? Leaning Williams as it opens up, bringing in Tsunoda, Albon, Gasly for Monaco. Piastri, Russell, Ocon, Hadjar, Colapinto, McLaren, Williams, or take a -10 to swap Ocon for Stroll, or take a -20 for Piastri, Albon, Stroll, Hadjar, Colapinto, McLaren, Mercedes. I think I maybe would take the -10 for Stroll. And... man. Or the -20 to get McLaren, Mercedes. If you go -20, McLaren, Mercedes will likely make that up. So you don't really have to worry there. So I don't think you can go wrong with either of those options. I guess I'd lean towards the -20 just because I think McLaren can make that up if you don't need a lot of budget, Michael. But yeah, that's a really interesting debate. Stroll versus Albon. I'm leaning Albon, Bozadar. Is Spa a good overtaking track? So I think it traditionally is quite good, but last year it was tough with the dirty air because I remember, like, if you guys were playing last year, a lot of us kind of like, I think Max was going to take an engine penalty and we all like final fixed him in and it just did not go according to plan. Like the Red Bull was not a rocket ship. So that would maybe be closer to, like, if we hear that like certain teams, certain drivers are going to take engine penalties that weekend. But if it's a team that's not doing so hot, then maybe I would feel less confident in that. Like if McLaren drivers took an engine penalty, I think I'd still feel pretty confident in them doing quite well around Spa. And I think last year was probably the first time at Spa where I was like, oh, like Red Bull is in some like serious trouble here. Cause like Max was not storming through the field at all. I mean, Mercedes had a 1-2 that weekend before George got disqualified. But we are 9 minutes from the end of the episode. There are 90 people watching. We're at 44 likes. If we can get that above 50, I would greatly appreciate it, everybody. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button as we make the small climb up to 3,100. Now that we're over the 3,000 peak, we'll keep climbing slowly but surely. Joseph says, I think I have no choice but to wildcard, placing Merc with Williams, doing with Colapinto, Behrman with Stroll, crossing my fingers, and I can increase my current budget of 106.1 million. If that's what you are thinking, Joseph, go for it. I'm never like, while I create content and stuff, I'm never really on here touting that like my way is the best way. And I'm like always very supportive of people who have their own plan going with that plan because they've thought it out, obviously. Like, I don't know how you feel, how you want to play the game, that kind of thing. Like, I'm here to kind of offer options and hopefully help out every now and then. But like, if you have thought this out and that's the way you want to do it, like I'm 100% behind that. So don't worry about that ever. So if that's the way you want to play, go for it. I'm fully on board with that. Never says, I did Alonso, Behrman to Stroll, Colapinto, else I have Piastri, Hadjar, Bordello, McLaren, Mercedes, and 105 million on the dot. Already used limitless and wildcard. Am I cooked? You're never cooked. Never. You just gotta like lower the heat a little bit, and we'll keep you running for a little bit. But Alonso and Behrman to Stroll and Colapinto, those are strong moves this weekend, and that should help you quite a lot because you're looking at 1.2 million hit in Alonso and Behrman there, and Stroll and Colapinto could gain you up to 1.2 million, but I'm thinking maybe 0.4 I can compare that to a 1.2 million hit. That's a 1.6 million gain. So great job by you. If plan is limitless in Monaco, what's your opinion on the Piastri Norris kick build versus Stroll or Albon Colapinto Mercedes build? Is using Stroll versus Albon a deciding factor? I trust Albon more. The problem with kick is for this week, it's good. I like it for this week. Mercedes is steady Eddie, so you don't really have to worry about them on a limitless, which is really nice. So I think I would go with the Albon Colapinto Mercedes build. Is wildcard in play? Depending on how many B tier fallers you have, like if you had your team loaded up with Ocon, Behrman, and Alonso, yes, maybe it is on the table. To be honest, I would only go kick if setting up for limitless in Monaco. Yeah, not a bad point, Nixie. Stefan says, with Colapinto being 4.5, I can get Lando with Merc and McLaren now over Haas. Thoughts on adding Albon over Ocon also and taking a -10? Man, I think I would do that just because, like we looked at earlier in the episode, so if you haven't seen it yet, like Haas qualifies so low and this is such a low overtaking track, I don't really trust them to make up as many spots as they usually do on a Sunday. Whereas Williams has like 8 Q3s in 6 races. So that's pretty solid. So I think I would lean Albon over Ocon. I think I maybe would take a -10 for that. So interesting question, Stefan. Let's see here. Where are we at? Where are we at? Mia says, I have Piastri, Russell, Hadjar, Behrman, Bortoleto, McLaren, Haas. I want to go to Piastri, Albon, Hadjar, Colapinto, Bortoleto, McLaren. Do I take a negative 10 points hit or take wildcard? I think I just take the hit there, Miha. I think with the negative 10, I think it's worth it because you're going to get the negative 10 there is going to pay itself off with the Mercedes versus Haas build. So I don't mind that at all. Mr. Paulie Woo says, do you think I should burn my wildcard to swap out my current team? Oscar, Russell, Hadjar, Doohan, Behrman, McLaren, and Haas. I use my limitless in Miami, 107.9 million. Yes. I think I would use your wildcard there, Mr. Paulie. I think Doohan, Behrman, Haas are all probably worthy of getting out. And you could get rid of Hadjar if you really wanted to for free. I think that's worth it. I think sprint weekends are very much overtaking weekends. Yeah, I agree with that, Hagar. Good point. Atlas XDs, do you think it's a good idea to go for Piastri, Albon, Colapinto, Hadjar, Bortoleto, McLaren, Williams for Imola so that I can limitless Monaco, sitting at 109.2 million cost cap? I am thinking very similar thoughts there, Atlas. So yes, I agree with that. I think that's pretty solid. I mean, like Hadjar or Colapinto and Bortoleto will not fall this weekend. So even if they both DNF, like they'll still be fine for Monaco. I think Hadjar can avoid the points drop. The problem is that then like that 8 points will fall off from Saudi Arabia, and then he'll have like a 0 and maybe a 7. So then we'll be looking at another weekend here where he'll need 8 points and 13 points, or maybe like 9 and 14 points, because he'll be about 5.7 million in Monaco, and that could be tough for him as well. So that's tough. Zhao says, hey, with 2 transfers, I can get Piastri, Hadjar, Colapinto, Albon, Bortoleto, McLaren, Mercedes, 112 million. What do you think? I like that a lot. Memenza says, Hadjar plus Mercedes or Stroll plus Williams if I want a limitless in Monaco, currently with 107.7 million. Oh, man, that is tough. I think Stroll gets to keep that 25, so he loses the 1. So I don't think Stroll's probably going to be in the same spot as he is right now for the following weekend, as long as he gets like 1 or 2 points, which is not bad at all. So I like that. Williams, I feel fine about. Hadjar, it really depends on what happens this weekend. Mercedes isn't going to go down anywhere, but yeah, I guess Hadjar plus Mercedes could be anywhere from 0.1 to 0.5 over the next 2 weeks, or I guess a million versus 0.2 over the next 2 weeks. Whereas Stroll plus Williams could be like 2 million over the next 2 weeks. So I guess I'd go Stroll Williams as long as you just kind of prioritize the budget building limitless build. GL Ford says, do you have a longer term target to a tier drivers and constructors? Would you switch into Piastri, McLaren, Mercedes, Antonelli ASAP, or wait the extra weeks to reach Russell instead of Antonelli? You know, I saw Adam from the Fantasy Formula kind of talking about Antonelli falling back down into the B tier budget. And I think Russell is going to keep getting these 0.1 price increases. As you can see here, like 14 points. Like, it's not ideal that he's not, I don't think he's going to get to 34 this week. But I think I would wait, because you could be in a world, which I'm not entirely sure if it's going to happen, just because, like, well, for one, I'm not entirely sure if the B tier budget is actually at 19 million. Because Antonelli went from 18.4 to 19 million. So the only thing we know is that when someone is at 19 million, they go up 0.3 and the 0.1. But could that be at 18.5, 18.6, 18.7? So like we could all be like say Antonelli falls and he goes down 0.9 and he's at 18.6. And we're all like, well, he's going to go up 0.6. But the game could be like, psych, it's actually just at 18.5 because we hate you guys. And that could really throw some stuff in the works. So if you get Antonelli, I feel like we're almost like you're gonna have the rest of the F1 fantasy community hoping that he fails, which is never a good feeling. So I don't know if I'd be that anxious to get to Antonelli because he could be like locked into like the P7, P8 debates quite a bit. And then like you could have someone like Ocon and Behrman who are outscoring him when they come from the back of the pack each weekend. Craig says, appreciate your content and thoughts you it's making my first F1 fantasy season more fun and engaging as I learn how it works, mainly from mistakes. Hey, it's like my 4th or 5th season playing Craig, and I'm learning from my mistakes still as well. Spa last year, they shortened the DRS zone, which hurt Verstappen run through the field. Oh, okay. Good note, Joe. I guess we'll have to see how if they change that this season. Also, if anyone hasn't like kind of watched some of the clips on TikTok and Twitter and stuff, go check out the WEC championship from this weekend in Spa. It was absolutely nuts. And like, I'm not like super into endurance racing and stuff, but some of the clips and some of the overtakes on that track were phenomenal. So we'd highly suggest going to do that. Here's my weekly complaint about my T3 team. What would you do? 111.4 budget and a lineup of Piastri, Russell, Ocon, Behrman, Hadjar, McLaren, Alpine. I'd probably get out Ocon, Behrman, and Alpine there. That could maybe be a Williams, Bortoleto, Stroll kind of lineup, or maybe Colapinto, Stroll lineup. So don't hate that at all, Bernards. Use Limitless in Miami, 355, not too upset. Currently have Piastri, Behrman, Alonso, Bortoleto, Hadjar, and Mercedes McLaren, 106.7 million. Thinking of swapping Behrman for Stroll and Alonso for Colapinto for budget. I love that, Jostine. That's a great idea. Reckless Medic says, looks like I could swap to Piastri, Russell, Albon, Colapinto, Hadjar with Mercedes plus Aston without taking an extra transfer hit. Not a fan of keeping Aston, but the rest of the team looks great. Yeah, not a fan of Aston, but like they could have a surprising 0.6 price rise here, and that could get you out of Dodge. Like, I don't expect it, but I expect them to get they could rise there. So I think you're fine, Reckless Medic. It's a little bit unconventional. I don't see a lot of teams with Aston Martin in the squad, but yeah, I don't mind that at all. Matthias says, is it worth taking points to switch Haas to some other B-tier constructor that rises? Like taking negative points. Man, that's tough. I mean, you're just one DNF away from compounding that entire thing, but maybe to Williams. I don't think I would do it to kick Sauber. Heather Bridge says, wasn't really thinking about budget, but I'm pretty tempted to do Piastri, Colapinto, Sainz, Gasly, Bortoleto with Mercedes and McLaren. Thoughts? If you're going for like 1 point scoring weekend, then I don't mind that too much, but Sainz and Gasly are both likely going to fall this week, Heather Bridge. So I don't love that from like a long-term building kind of prospect. But it is 9:32 now, so I've been on here for an hour and 2 minutes. So I really, really appreciate everyone's questions. If you're watching this on delay, hopefully some of your questions have been answered. Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like I'm looking at it right now, we're 2 away from 3060, so that'll be cool once we get past that little milestone as well. But yeah, like I said, always appreciate any comments, views, likes, subscribes, all that jazz, and hit me up on X at F1 Fantasy Ewan as we kind of start to get into the main portion of race week. We got driver interviews coming in a couple days. I got my transfer targets video coming out in a couple days, and then there'll be a deadline live stream on Saturday as well. And yeah, that's where I'm giving my transfer targets. It's where I'm going to do my updated team selection thoughts. But hopefully you guys have all enjoyed this episode. I love these episodes. This is like probably one of my favorite things I do for content every week. I just love chit-chatting F1 fantasy with the rest of y'all. But hopefully you guys have a good rest of your week. I will be back for the deadline live stream on Saturday. So once again, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time.